Jamie. I'm so sad that we couldn't be together in person this year, but I'm glad that we could be together in this environment virtually. I haven't met some of you, so I can't wait to have the opportunity to be with you in the future. And by now you're probably wondering why I keep putting an emphasis on the word bee. Did you know that bees pollinate over a third of the food that we eat, or a third of the plants that go into the food that we all eat? They also contribute $238 billion to our economy alone because they pollinate those plants. So we thought it might be kind of fun to bring you some information on bees. We all love nature, especially because we're not taking a nature walk. I know that you'll love being here with me. And I'd like to introduce you to my friend Eric. We call him Mr. Hayner.
Hi there.
Because he's a special education teacher at Madawan Middle School here where I live. But the other cool thing that he does is that he runs our bee club. And I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about why he chose to start a bee club, and then he's going to get us started and what he does to take care of these bees, to make sure that they have the environment that they need to stay healthy and populated.
Thank you, Jamie. Yes, bees are very important, and I decided to start a beekeeping club here at the middle school with my students so they can learn about the importance of bees, how they pollinate, and just what a great role they play in our everyday lives. Like you said, 1 out of every 3 bites you eat are going to be because of a bee, whether it's an apple or any fruits, berries that you have, but also things like cattle really depend on bees because the alfalfa that they eat is pollinated by the bees. So they're hugely important to our food chain, and it's really important that we have environments where they can thrive and be healthy. So yeah, we planted along here a lot of milkweed along I-94 for them to have some wildflowers in order for them to go and forage and find food. We like to give them, when we do things like plant, flowers and everything that they need, we want to think about ones that bloom in the springtime, the summer, and the fall. So I understand you guys are looking at doing a little project with that. And so it's really exciting that you guys will be offering them different variety of flowers to pollinate, which is really good for their health, really good for the environment, and really good for you guys too.
So is it important to not just plant the flowers, but to make sure that they have distance to travel? Is that important?
Yep, they'll go up to 3 to 5 miles to forage for their food. So the one you see in your backyard may have, come from town next door, if you're close enough to another town, or even another farmer's field. So yes, it is very important to have a variety and lots of places available for them to go and forage, because they'll go and look quite a ways.
Very cool. Well, I think we're going to get started and see what Eric has to offer for us.
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is light our smoker over here.
What's the smoker do?
The smoker will help calm them down. They communicate either by waggle dancing on one another, or they'll communicate exactly with different pheromones and scents. So what this does, it kind of masks the scents that they might send off, saying that someone is breaking into our hive and taking our honey, or messing with our home. So this will mask that scent so that we can go in and safely interact with the bees.
Okay, this is my favorite part because I don't want them to think I'm breaking in.
Right.
I don't know what they would do.
I always talk to them too, let them know I'm coming in. And so it's a mixture of pine needles, and I have some dried sage in there because it smells good. And then we add this sumac here, which helps it to burn a little bit longer, so you don't have to relight the smoker as often. So we'll get that all in there. Give some good puffs here, and
it does smell good.
Yeah, like a campfire.
I wish you could smell it virtually.
So this is a hive tool. This is what we're going to use to kind of inspect the hives here. It has a sharp end so we can break the boxes apart, and then we use this J-hook in order to separate the frames and do our inspection. So,
and most importantly, it had bees on it, so
yes,
you know what it's for.
I did have to paint bees on them because when you're a beekeeper, it's all about the bees.
Everything has a bee.
Yep.
We leave you.
I hope you do. And the more bee puns, the better. So keep them coming. It doesn't always like to stay lit real well, so.
It's really interesting to me because because I thought we'd be like back in the quiet, back in the woods more, but we're right next to the highway. So it's interesting to me that that doesn't affect anything.
Yeah, they actually really like it. They bring back a lot of nectar and pollen, so they have a lot of good foraging up along with the wildflowers along the highway there. So, would you like to use the smoker?
Sure.
It's pretty easy. Just give it a few puffs. We're gonna do it at the entrance where they're coming in, and the lower and the upper entrance there.
Is that close enough?
Yep, you can get right up in there where they're coming out. And you can do it up here too. But I just put off the side over there on the ground. So what you'll notice here is, I should have shown you this before, but there's bees coming in and out. There's guard bees here that will make sure that it's only bees for this hive that are coming in and out. And so as we're watching the bees here, we'll see them coming in and landing. And that one went really fast, but he had these pollen sacs on his back legs, so you want to look for that, and that means that that's a good sign that your queen is laying because they're bringing in pollen. So that's what we want to see.
So what would they do if it wasn't a bee from their hive?
They would shoo it away, or if it kept aggressively trying to come in, they would sting it and kill it. Yeah. So.
I didn't think about that either. That they would be specific to one hive. That's interesting.
Yep. So each hive has its own smell. So bees from this hive have a smell. So if they went to another one, they could smell it and say, "You're not from my hive." So if you want to come on over here, just stand up to the side and you can take a peek at what we have going on inside here. Jamie, if you want to grab that smoker again, we can smoke it from the top now. That first smoking was kind of just to let them know that we were coming in.
Hello, little bees.
Hello, ladies.
Is that just like
Yeah,
over
that looks
the top
great.
here?
So you'll see here that there are these mason jars. This had sugar water that we fed them in the springtime, just kind of gives them a little bit of boost. This hive didn't have a queen, and so we're getting these ones started, and it helps to give them a little bit of a boost with some sugar water that they'll turn into honey. Because that's pretty much what nectar is just sugar water from the trees and flowers. Let's put these off to the side.
That's a lot of bees.
So these are all mostly female bees that you'll see in here today. The worker bees are all females. There's bigger bodied ones which are male, they're drones, and then there's one queen, and she is a little bit longer than and bigger in size than these worker bees that we'll see.
So Eric, everything that you're doing, would your club members do the same thing?
Yes, yep.
Can you imagine being a middle schooler, any of you who's in middle school out there, and getting to participate in this? That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. The kids do a great job. They've learned a lot, and I'm really proud of how gentle they are with all these bees. So you'll see here they're kind of like this good example here. One has its tongue sticking to show. Yep.
My very own hack tool.
All right, so what we're seeing here is that some of the bees here are they're kind of looks like they're kissing each other here maybe. And what they're actually probably doing is that they're sharing the nectar in their stomach to the other bee. And then that bee will hold onto it for a bit, it'll add enzymes to it, it'll pass it on to another bee, and they'll keep doing that until they make it into their honey, which when it's ready, they'll put it into a cell, which we can look at here. We can see them putting food storage away. Usually these outside ones don't have a lot of activity on them, so we'll just set this probably off to the side. It feels pretty light. But yeah, actually you can see here where there's nectar in there, that they will continue to add the nectar from their stomachs into there, and then when it is ready, they will cap it off. And then when we're ready, we'll take the honey and uncap it and spin it, and that's how we extract it. But right now, these are all worker bees just filling in the syrup, or the nectar right now to make honey.
What do they do to cap it off?
They will make a wax from their stomach, and they will actually use that to build all this wax that you see here. Comes from their abdomen, and they will take it in their mouth and mold it how they want it, but they will use that to cap it too. We'll see some of that here on another frame, I'm sure. I'll just put this at the entrance so these bees can walk back in when they're ready. We'll look at another frame. So if you want to take your hive tool like this,
Like that?
yep, and then just kind of twist it, and then pull a little bit there.
Oh, so just pulls it away?
Yep, and then if you want to use the J part there, just hook it up, and then you can go ahead and pull that frame out. Just pull it straight up and...
Do I use my fingers over here? Is that...
Yep. And you probably want to switch over and use your hands. on the left side there too.
Sorry, bees.
Awesome. So we see these guys working real hard here. They're filling in nectar as well. This here is a drone. It's a male. He's got larger eyes, a larger body compared to the workers around him. Now the queen won't likely be on this one because there's no place for her to lay. They're just filling all this in with that shiny nectar. So we know she's not going to be on this one, but
So do we just put it down, or do we?
yeah,
put
you
it
can
back?
slide it back towards
Just here?
you. Yep.
I want to hit any bees.
She's probably not going to be in this upper box, but I wanted to maybe try and see some honey that is capped off. Let's try
So
it.
just one at a time. Is that...
Yep. So just real slow because you don't want to crush any bees. Just pull it apart. They stick everything together with this wax and this propolis that is very sticky.
Should I take this one now, or do we
Yep.
go for the...
Go ahead, we'll pull that out. So this here is where they're starting to cap their honey off.
Oh, cool.
So this one looks like they are actually setting this one up. They have food on the outside, and then the middle is open here. So they're probably getting this one set up for her to lay eggs in here. And if I can take a look at it, if you look at it at a certain angle, you can sometimes see eggs in there. And let's see if she's made it up here yet. You go to the sunlight. Okay, so she actually has eggs in here, and they're very hard to see. But kind of in this area here, you can see, and if you get super close, like you can see that there's a little like grain of rice looking thing in there. That is one of the eggs. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the video here, but that is the first stage of their life, is they get laid by an egg, as an egg. They're an egg for 3 to 5 days, and then they turn into larvae. They get capped off, become pupa, and then they emerge after 21 days as a new worker bee. So she might actually be on this frame, since there's room for her to lay, and we see eggs. Oh, there she is right there.
How can you tell? What distinguishes her from... Oh, the...
Do you see how she's so much longer than the
Yeah.
other ones?
Can you
Yep.
see her right in there?
Plus the other bees around there just kind of are orientating themselves towards her. So these bees are always doing, kind of taking care of her. So they're reading signals from her, they're figuring out what she needs, and taking care of her. So that's one way you can spot them. See how they're all kind of gathering around her right now?
Yeah. That is so cool.
Yeah, I'm really glad we got to see her. So she's only like maybe 2 weeks old, because this she hatched from an egg maybe a week and a half ago, and then she went on her mating flight, and then that's the only time she'll ever leave the hive, and she'll spend the rest of her life here laying eggs.
Wow.
And in the peak of summer, she'll lay 2,000 to 3,000 a day.
Oh my goodness.
So imagine all these little cells being filled up with eggs.
And then how long does it take for those eggs to hatch?
For the workers, it's about 21 days, and for drones, it's about 24 days.
And do you have any idea, like, of all the eggs that she lays? Is there like a percentage that will survive?
That's why they lay a lot. Bees only last for about 65 days.
Okay.
So they're constantly renewing their life cycle here. So the queen will lay pretty much year round. She takes a break in the wintertime. She's climbing up to the top here now. But you can see they're cleaning her off, and they're picking up signals from her. These ones are all up in her business. I don't know what they're looking for.
That's exciting. I wasn't sure we'd be able to see something like that, like the queen.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I love to see that she's laying. That means we have a good queen. This is considered queen right when you see
Queen right.
queen right colony. Yep,
I used to like to think of myself as that at camp. Queen right.
queen right, or the queen of bean right. So that's great. I love that we got to see that.
So then you just pull this back.
Yep. And then we'll make room for that other frame that was on the outside. Everything with bees you do real slow, because if you go slow enough, they'll move and get out of the way.
Just pick this one up.
Yep.
Is there a front or a back, or does it matter?
Nope, doesn't really matter. Just a little bit more. So this is a bottom board, which I pulled out from the bottom of the hive here, and everything that falls down gets caught here, and so you can kind of check the health of the hive here, and we can see here this is a varroa mite. Varroa destructa is what it's called, and it is one of the reasons that the bees are having a hard time right now is that they get this infestation of these varroa mites, and so we have to treat them as beekeepers in order to keep the hive healthy. They will burrow before they cap off the pupa. They will burrow in there, and she will lay her eggs, and they will hatch and have usually 2 offspring that will come and be born when the bee is ready to emerge. So really quickly they can they're doubling their population every time they do that, every time that they are able to go in and reproduce. So we have to stay on top of that. So we'll have to treat for this here in probably a couple weeks in order to make sure that the varroa mites don't take over. But you can see random things like bee legs, or sometimes you see like heads or antennas, honey, there's sugar, all sorts of nectar and things, pollen that have fallen down. This is pollen right here. So this is just another way to check the health of the hive. But the varroa mites are nasty critters. I just push down a little bit more. Just gotta push it through the propolis and whatnot. Soften the edge a little bit.
Home you go.
Sweet.
Cool.
So after they start filling this up with too much honey, we'll add another box. When they fill that up, we'll go into another box, and that's how they work through the winter. They'll start at the lower boxes and just work their way up through their honey stores.
And do you have to come out during the winter and do things?
We do, yep. We have a thermal camera that we'll take pictures with to see that there is heat on the inside. They'll gather into a cluster and vibrate to keep warm, keep the queen warm. So she is always kind of in around, I think it's like 80 to 90 degree temperature inside the hive even in the winter. And they will rotate around who's on the outside and keep it heated for her. Yep, so we'll come out and do that and make sure that the entrance isn't blocked. A lot of the bees will die in the winter, so we have a tool to scrape the front of the hive to get all those dead bees out so that the airflow still can go up through there. Because we don't want them to have too much carbon dioxide in there either, so we want it ventilated. Look at this one, here's pulling off a dead one here. So some of these bees are undertaker bees, and that's their job, is to take away the dead ones. So this one here may have been one that accidentally got crushed, and you see them working together to take this dead bee out. The neat thing about them is that they all work for the betterment of the hive, and so there's a lot of lessons we can learn from them about how to take care of one another and how to work together. So we see them working together here to make sure their hive is clean and healthy and taking out the dead ones.
I had no idea that bees had so many specific jobs. I think that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And like Eric said, they're really teaching us on how we can all take care of each other, including on how we can take care of the bees. What would you say is the number one thing that everyone at Champ Camp could do to help the population of the bees?
Certainly plant a variety of flowers around your house. That would be great. If you can buy local honey from a local beekeeper, then you're supporting the local efforts of beekeepers in your area. And certainly just educate yourself on bees and how helpful and beneficial they are, and just don't kill them when you see them around your house. A lot of people mistake wasps or hornets for bees and are scared of them. But if it's just a honeybee gathering nectar or pollen at the flowers in your garden, he's not going to bother you unless you're messing with him. So yeah, definitely educate yourself on bees, and yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate your time.
For sure.
Join me to give Eric a big Champ Camp good job. Good job. Good. Ooh. And stay tuned, because Bridget, your favorite nature walk guide, is going to be showing you how in your area you can help to plant wildflowers and make sure that these bees stay with us and continue to contribute to our ecosystem. See you later.